And I think it's very important that people and green foundations from different European countries work together. So ECOPRO is a project, abbreviation for ecological production of 9 national green foundations. And what we do is we debated the new vision on economy, and also, like today, here we organize national events where we also give the floor to very important local initiatives. Now, if I talk too fast, you have to tell me, but I think it's okay. But before going to let's say the new vision and the building blocks of this vision, I think it's important to realize where we're standing. Just 1 week before the climate top in Paris. And I think you all remember many years ago the movie of Al Gore, An Inconvenient Truth. And I think we now already have something like 100 inconvenient truths. For almost 2-3 decades, we are saying we are moving towards a more sustainable economy, society. But if you look then at the reality of carbon dioxide emissions, about the loss of forests, or about the water use, it's actually one big acceleration. So actually, if we are realistic, we are not doing a real good thing. We are not saving the planet. On the contrary. I don't know whether you know this graph, but this is very interesting. So I think the first alarming message that we were destroying our planet came from the report Limits to Growth, a report at the Club of Rome, and it was already the beginning of the 70s, so many, many years ago. And at that time, and even now, a lot of people are laughing with this report. They were saying, oh, they were exaggerating, it's not true, limits, there are no limits. But in 2009, a scientific institute in the Netherlands, they put just the historical data on the graphs that were present in the report of 1973. So if you see the blue line, this was the expectation in 1972. For instance, you see population, output, resources, and the purple dots are reality. So that's about ecological issues. Also the social issues, if you look what 30 years of neoliberal economy has done, and this is a graph from the famous Piketty. The graph in purple shows you what people with money receive from their money, the rent. And so they're getting, again, richer every year. And the yellow is the growth of the economy. And you see the growth is going down and the rich are getting richer. And this is also very interesting. This is very recent. This is from the European Central Bank. So let's say the optimistic guys who always are saying, yes, yes, economy will grow again. Yes, we're doing a good thing. And now this is their graph for their growth expectations for the euro area. And they're talking about, they're saying that the euro area is stuck in a low growth, high unemployment equilibrium, meaning that they expect that growth is low, and they find a problem. But at the same token, a lot of unemployment, and they don't have a solution for it. I don't know whether you know this graph. This was produced some years ago by a worldwide group of researchers. It's about the systems that sustain human life on Earth. And you see the different systems: chemical pollution, climate change, ocean acidification. And the real interesting or worrying part is that we all think that climate change is the most urgent problem. And in a way, it is very urgent. But they discovered that there are, at the moment, 2 other problems even worse, it's the loss of biodiversity, and it's what we do with our nitrogen into our rivers and oceans. So we are really on several levels putting too much pressure on our planet. And it is really killing places. I think if you talk about mines where we take resources, it's about killing these places. Okay, I'm not going to talk about this because it will take us too long. But I think this is the challenge we are faced. If our world leaders in Paris next weeks take climate challenge and the other problems seriously, we have to reduce our impact on the environment with a factor 10. So it's not 10% less, it's a factor 10. So I don't know whether you have a big garbage bin at home or plastic bag here in Budapest. I just propose go home and make a smiley version of it, 10%. And from tomorrow on, this is your garbage bin. Or take your invoice for your heating or your electricity and you move the comma. And so from next year, that's the energy you can use. So it's very clear that this challenge is not possible within our current economic system. There's no way, of course, we can use more efficient lights, we can buy an electric car, but still, then maybe you can have a little bit reduction, 10%, but you will never have a reduction of factor 10. Very important, efficiency won't save us. This sounds a bit paradoxical, but what happens over the last 10 years, lights have become more efficient, cars a little bit. If you have a Volkswagen, be careful about it. But also everybody has a fridge at home. And now you can buy a fridge with the label A+++. So you can say this is very good for the environment. And of course, we should develop those products. But what happens in a market society, I buy such a fridge and maybe I save 200 euros over a year. And at the end of the year, I say to my wife, yes, we did it. Now we're going to celebrate it on a city trip to Barcelona. We take the airplane. And so the overall gain is a loss. So if you just invest on efficiency without another market environment, where carbon-intensive activities are very expensive, actually, we don't gain anything for the environment. This is the example of lights. Here you see that lighting efficiency is the red curve. It's going up. You can now buy LED. But because overall price of lighting has gone down, cheaper, people buy more lights. Or they say, oh, you know what? It's a spare lamp. I can leave it on all night. Who cares? And so in the end, the consumption of light, the energy we use, is going up. So we must invest in efficient products and machines, but in our market environment, it will be bad for the environment. It's a real paradox, but that's reality. And so the challenge, this factor 10, we are moving what you could call terra incognita. It's a country we don't know. Here you see on this curve, all the dots are countries. And if you move from left to right, the horizontal axis, it is the Human Development Index, the quality of life in a country. And so the more you move to the right, the better it is to live in. And so you see a lot of dots high to the right. Most of them are European countries, blue are Asian countries. And so actually it's very important for a country to be to the right. Then you have a good living as a citizen. Then we have this other vertical axis. It's our ecological footprint. How many Earths we need to produce this wealth, this quality of life. And then you see the green line. The green line is the ecological footprint if we would have a fair society. Everyone on Earth has the same Earth share. And then you see there are some countries below, but most of the time these are countries in Africa with a very low quality of life. And so the combination, having a very good quality of life, but a very low impact on Earth. You see all these countries in this corner at the right below. How many countries are already there? So it's really, we have to move to a new kind of society. The two dots that are closest are Cuba and Costa Rica. So, but, and for instance, the blue dots, these are the Asian countries. They used to be more to the left down, and you see there are, the quality of life goes up in those countries, but also the impact on nature. Okay, so it's clear we need a new economy, a new political frame, and I don't think it will be just one answer. I think we need a set of different building blocks, a set of different reinforcing initiatives leading to new, not only, let's say, material infrastructures, but we also need new mental infrastructures. The things between our ears also have to change. And also new social infrastructures, the way we work together. And so there's no silver bullet solution. We need, for every context, specific solutions. Okay, and so now I'm going to present some building blocks, some things, new ideas, and I think if we combine them, then this new economy, sustainable economy, can develop. First, we need a new vision on knowledge production. In a market economy, a neoliberal economy, the thing if you go to the faculty of economics, what do you learn as a student? If you develop something, hide your knowledge, try to patent it or copyright it, and then maybe you can get rich. So there are no teachers, professors saying you have to share your knowledge. While actually, in reality, sharing knowledge is also, from an economic point of view, much more performative. And the example of Wikipedia. Who knows Wikipedia? Who uses it? Okay, a lot. When I was a young guy, my father, he bought this very expensive encyclopedia with 12 different books because he said, my sons, they need good information. And it was a private company. And so a really revolution happened, and we didn't decide it. Because internet gave us new possibilities, people all over the world, just because they have passion for it, they shared knowledge, and together now we've built the most powerful encyclopedia. It's accessible for everybody, it's free. So this is the model we need to develop and share knowledge. You have the same example in software development. I don't know, people here know open source software. It's just the same story. Instead of patent it and try to sell it, you share the code, everybody can use it, everybody can make it better. And so, and what we see, and it's very interesting, we see in more and more domains, this new way of thinking is emerging. Also in the scientific community, before some years, this was this very stupid thing that with public money, researchers at universities did research, and then they published it in scientific journals they had to pay for. And now there are more and more open access journals where all the knowledge is shared. So this is a very first important building block. We should share knowledge, and not only because it's nice or better, but it is also from an economic point of view, it's just more performant. You can reach faster to more results. Okay, a second kind of new vision is we should stop looking at China as the big factory of the world. Do you know that 50% of all socks produced in the world, they come from China, from one city? This is how rational we are. We have one city producing socks for all the world. We have one city producing computers for all the world. And of course, you can imagine it produces some emissions of greenhouse gases, all this transport. And so we are a very crazy world. What we do, what is very light, ideas, they are in the air. We try to protect them, keep them in a certain place. And all the heavy material stuff, we are moving it around the world. So it has to be the opposite. We should share and move ideas. And the things we need, we should produce them locally. And there are also new developments concerning technology. Think about 3D printers, concerning sharing of information. It's really going very fast. So the nice thing is that already in the 70s, André Gorz, I think people know him here, he had his vision of production ateliers in the neighborhoods. Actually, with the technology available, we can do it now. We can set up micro-factories in every city neighborhood. So I think that's a very important new building block. And also, it's very important if we talk about circular economy, because in a circular economy, I will come to that directly, it's very important then that we can repair stuff. Because then you can produce the thing that is broken yourself. Imagine you have at home, let's say, a printer, and a small screw or plastic thing is broken. You go to the shop, it's 3 years old, what happens? I know what happens in Belgium, I don't know what happens here. Are they going to fix it? Or are they going to say, you better buy a new one? I see. And so this is also, in the introduction, there was the emphasis on autonomy, people and communities being able to produce things themselves, have certain autonomy on their environment, livelihoods. Also, these new technologies will allow us to repair all the stuff we have. Are there repair cafes here in Hungary? Okay, another nice example. Okay, another very important thing is, and this is not about technology, this is actually a very difficult social innovation. It took many years to invent it. You can share a car. Imagine, not everybody has to buy a car, you can share it. I don't know where there is a lot of car sharing here in Budapest. In Belgium, it's really growing very, very fast. And so research has shown that for every car we share, there are 12 to 15 private cars less on the road. So it really makes a difference. And so we have these very nice new institutions. We have now in Belgium a first library of tools. I don't know whether it exists here. So instead of going to the library to lend some books, you go there because you need some things to work in the garden or to work on your house. And it's again the same philosophy. Why should you buy something that you only use 1 hour a year? Makes no sense. Very important. Maybe we can go on this during the debate. I won't go into detail, but if you talk about sharing, of course you have to be very careful. There are some guys in Silicon Valley that say Uber is also sharing. But actually it's not sharing, it's just big corporations sucking money out of our society. So if I talk about sharing, which is very important, is who is owning it. There's value creation. Who gets the value? And also very important, transparency. How is it organized? Do we know how the system works, the algorithm? So Uber is not about sharing. Uber is a new form of extraction economy. So, but maybe we can come to that again later. Okay, I already talked about it. Circular economy, I think, is on a very important building block. Instead of buying every 2 years a new mobile phone, because what can you do if the battery doesn't work anymore? Who has an iPhone here in the room? I guess there are people with an iPhone. Nobody dares to say. So what will you do when the battery it doesn't work anymore? You cannot buy the screwdriver in the shop. But I know there are specialized shops now to help the citizens. But the purpose of the company Apple was, of course, that you are not able to change the battery. So we have to change this kind of products with examples, and they exist. Also, you can buy an iPhone, but you also can find a Fairphone, which is really developed in a way that you can take it apart in 30 seconds. It's designed that if you drop it on the floor, it doesn't break. And you can replace everything. And so what we need is, if you talk about circular economy, this means circles, but these circles have to be short and slow. Because some weeks ago, I was at a conference, and somebody from industry said, I live in Belgium, all these ships coming from China to Antwerp, with all the containers, with all our consumer goods, if they go back, they are now empty. So if we put all our garbage in those ships, it's kind of circular economy. So, but of course, this doesn't make sense. So we have to make sure that the circles are as small as possible. And of course, it depends on what kind of product. We won't have a short circle on coffee, I guess, but let's keep our coffee and tea. But the other thing is, of course, keep the things as long as possible in the circle. So it means once a thing is produced, share it. Make sure it lasts long. Now you have Europe saying products should last 2 years as a guarantee period. Why only 2 years? Let's make it 5 years, 6 years. Then if things are broken, of course, we have to repair it. But also, there are new things possible, like refurbish or remanufacture. For instance, in Brussels, we have a new company, and they are selling nearly new offices. What they do is they take old tables, old chairs, and they put some new textile on it or some new color, and they sell it again. So, because every product that is made is an investment in money, resources, and labor. And we have to keep the value in the products. Every time we throw away a product, we throw away value. And for instance, all the computers, smartphone, and the e-waste of Europe, 2/3 of it we export, and only the metals in these, all these products, it's 2 billion euros. We just say, who cares? So it's very stupid. Okay, then, of course, the government has to play a new role. The last 30 years, there was an emphasis on the government working together with private companies, public-private partnership. I think we should shift that to public-civil partnerships. So I think we have to reinvent government, and for instance, Michel Bouwens calls it the partner state. And so I think the examples we will listen to this afternoon, one of the very interesting questions is, what is government doing to stimulate these initiatives? And there are very interesting things going on in Europe. For instance, Bologna, I think, is the first city which really, the city government decided a new regulation where they recognize and stimulate citizens' initiatives, commons. But also, the other side of the ocean, Chicago, they are starting a chamber of commons. So you have a chamber of commerce for classical private companies, and they are starting a chamber of commons. Commons are citizens' initiatives. And just to remind us, if you say you're a bit exaggerating, we are already doing a lot of good things. At this very moment, only 1/3 of our e-waste we are recycling, and this is a picture of the coastline of Ghana, where maybe you see your computer 5 years ago lying there. Okay, another last example. In Belgium, if your chair of the office is too old, what you do with it? We have container parks. And yeah, then you think it's gone. It's like a miracle machine. While at the meantime, there are already existing new types of shares. This one you can disassemble in 5 minutes, and every piece can be reused. So actually, you have there's no such thing as waste anymore in the new economy. It's about reuse of goods, reuse of parts, reuse of resources. Okay, I'm going to close because I think I already have, it's okay. But I want to finalize with what you could say a larger vision. So I think we are not only talking about changing a little bit our economy. We have to change from an industrial society we developed in the 20th century, started in the 19th, to a new society. And this means also changing social relations, changing the way of government. And a famous author, also very known here, Polanyi, he has described how the change happened from, let's say, an agricultural society to an industrial society. And his message is very clear. If you think that a self-regulated market can do the job for you, you're in very bad trouble. Because it can destroy social relations, it can destroy countries. So we should work, our challenge is design by change, not design by disaster. And therefore we need a lot of new things. And one of the most important things, of course, is democratic steering and investment in new infrastructures. This new society needs new infrastructures. If you look at the history in the 19th and the 20th century, the nation-state governments, they built national infrastructures, railways, water systems, communication. Now we have to invest again in new infrastructures for the future. It's about smart grids for our renewable energy production. It's about, in cities, new systems of transportation, focusing on bikes and public transport. It's about local institutions for urban agriculture. So it's really a system approach we need. And that's the only way that, and it was in the introduction, how can we link and link all these small new initiatives? I think we have to link them at least in 2 ways. First, provide infrastructures so they can work together. Secondly, of course, they should know there are a new political movement. Actually, all these new initiatives, this is the new social movement that isn't yet aware that they exist. So it's also about politicizing them, that they develop a new narrative for society. And I think then we can really have not just 1 or 2 steps, but a major step for a new future. Thank you.